Morning, boys and girls. I hope you guys are ready for another fantastic story that we're going to read. Now, our new story about Jack and Annie and their adventures is titled A Crazy Day with Cobras. Now, boys and girls, we're going to meet one of our characters that was introduced in our first story that we read, Penny the Penguin. Now, we're going to find out what happened to Penny and why she was turned to stone at the very beginning. So, I want you guys to sit back and have fun and enjoy this chapter. Chapter 1, A Terrible Mistake. The weather's getting warmer, said Jack. He and Annie were walking home from school under a cloudless May sky. A warm breeze blew through the leaves on the newly green trees. I love it, said Annie. It makes me feel like something's good going to happen. Something good already happened, said Jack. My teacher finally gave back my story today. The one about our adventures in the treehouse? Said Annie. Yep, she said I have a fantastic imagination, said Jack. Great, said Annie. And she loved your drawings for the story, too, said Jack. She said you're really talented. Well, that's nice, said Annie. Maybe she loved the sparkle pens I used. The only thing she didn't love was the type of writing I chose. She said it was hard to read because it was too fancy, said Jack. I really like that curly type, though, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. But it's no big deal. She still gave me an A+. Wow, cool, said Annie. As they reached the edge of Frog Creek Woods, a gust of wind shook the tree branches, and Jack's baseball cap flew off. He grabbed the cap from the sidewalk. The wind blew harder. What's happening? Said Annie. Suddenly, two figures rushed out of the woods. Their dark cloaks flapped behind them as they hurried towards Jack and Annie. Teddy, said Annie. Kathleen, said Jack. The red-haired teenage boy and the beautiful girl with dark wavy hair ran to Jack and Annie and hugged them both. You must come with us to the treehouse, said Kathleen. Hurry. Why? What's up? Said Jack. We'll explain when we get there, said Teddy. He and Kathleen turned and started back into the woods. As Jack and Annie raced after them, sunlight slanted through the leafy treetops. Soon they all came to the tallest oak tree. Up, up, cried Teddy. One by one, Kathleen, Jack, Teddy, and Annie scrambled up the rope ladder and climbed into the magic treehouse. When they were all inside, Teddy heaved a sigh. My friends, we desperately need your help, he said. What's wrong? Asked Annie. We made a terrible mistake, said Kathleen. No, it was just me, said Teddy. I made the mistake. What do you mean? Said Jack. I turned Penny into a stone statue, said Teddy. Penny? Asked Annie. A statue? Oh no, said Jack. He loved the little orphan penguin that he and Annie had found on one of their adventures. Penny had helped save Merlin's life. It was an accident, said Kathleen. It was just stupidity, said Teddy. We were in Morgan's library, and I was looking at spells in her books. Morgan forbid us to try any spells on our own. But I did not listen, and I found a simple one that turns things into stone. I thought I'd just give it a quick try. I turned an apple into stone, a goblet of water into stone, a writing quill into stone. Teddy was pointing at a walking stick by the doorway and reciting the words to the spell. And just then, Penny wandered in, and the spell hit her. And now she's a stone statue, Teddy said miserably. Well, that's terrible, said Annie. Well, can't you just ask Merlin or Morgan to use their magic to bring Penny back to life? Asked Jack. No, they must never learn anything about this. If they do, Teddy shook his head and looked away. Merlin and Morgan are both in Avalon for the festival of May, said Kathleen. If they discover what Teddy has done, we fear Merlin will banish him from the kingdom. Really? Said Annie. Yes, Merlin will be upset, said Kathleen. Penny is the very heart of our kingdom. We all love her very much. Me too, said Jack. He thought about his penguin's fuzzy head, the funny way she peeped, and the way she loved and entrusted everyone. The good news is that we have found a rhyme that tells us how to reverse the stone spell, said Kathleen. She took a note from her cloak. The bad news is that it's written in ancient language, said Teddy. We have only translated 8 lines so far. Kathleen read from her note. Ye say that ye wish your spells be reversed. 4 things must find. Here is the first. In the shape of a rose is an emerald stone that uncovers the heart of one who's alone. An emerald stone shaped like a rose? Said Jack. He took the note from Kathleen and looked at it. That's what you have to find first? Yes, only we must spend our time trying to translate the rest of the spell before Merlin and Morgan return, said Kathleen. So we need you and Annie to look for the emerald stone, please. Got it, said Jack. Where do we look? Said Annie. We have done some research, said Teddy, and we think you should go back almost 400 years and visit one of the great Mongols of India. Great Mongols? Said Annie. Oh, you mean Moguls. They are the emperors who ruled India's Mughal Empire, said Teddy. One of them had the largest collection of precious gems in all of the world, and his stonecutters cut many of these jewels into the shape of leaves and flowers, said Kathleen. Perfect, said Annie. Our research says he often gave gifts of precious gems to visiting ambassadors, said Teddy. You'll have to pretend to be an ambassador. And I'm afraid, Annie, that you will have to pretend to be a boy again, said Kathleen. In Mongol India, girls were not allowed to show their faces in public. No problem. I'm getting used to it, Annie said. Wait, even if Annie's a boy, they're probably not going to believe that we're ambassadors, said Jack. Teddy and Kathleen gave each of them blank looks. I do not know why not, said Teddy. Though I admit we do not really know much about ambassadors. They're people who visit other countries to represent their own country, said Jack. Splendid, said Teddy. So that's what you will do. You'll represent Frog Creek 400 years ago. Except ambassadors are usually grown-ups, said Jack. Oh, well, I suppose you must just do your best. You can, said Kathleen. Perhaps this will help you, said Teddy. If you have knowledge, you will seem older. He reached into his cloak and pulled out a book. And we thought perhaps some magic might help too, said Kathleen. If you find yourselves in danger, she reached into her cloak again and pulled out a tiny blue bottle, a potion to make you very small. Oh, wow, said Annie. Very small? Said Jack. He remembered how their friend Augusta had been made tiny by the fairies of Ireland. He remembered that he'd been afraid it might happen to them, too. All kinds of ordinary things could seem huge and scary, he thought. How long would we stay small, though? He asked. It depends on how many sips you take, said Kathleen, giving the bottle to Jack. 1 sip will make you small for 10 minutes. 2 sips will make you small for 20, and 3 sips for 30, and so on. Well, thanks, he said. He put the bottle and the rhyme into his backpack. Now go, said Teddy. Find the emerald rose while we try to translate the rest of the spell. We'll do our best, said Annie. Thank you, said Kathleen. When you need strength, just think of Penny. We will, said Jack. He took a deep breath and pointed at the cover of their research book. I wish we could go there. Annie waved at Teddy and Kathleen. See you later, she said. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. And that's the end of chapter 1. So, boys and girls, awesome story coming up. So, today I want you guys to pull out your first page in your journal that you're going to get today at your packet pickup. And I want you guys to illustrate the characters. Now, we have 4 characters in our first chapter. Jack and Annie are our main characters, and then our other characters, Kathleen and Teddy. I want you to illustrate those characters, okay? And then include the setting. Where are they at? Draw your very best. Do your awesome labeling of those objects and those different setting parts that you are writing, okay? So I want you guys to have fun, do your very best, okay? And we will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.